I get started, before I get all rung up, shifted and tossed and going too fast, my topic for the day is, when you refuse to step in, don't be surprised when you're left out. I said, when you refuse to step in, when you refuse to walk into his presence, don't be surprised when some of those things that come along with his presence is left out of your life. When you refuse to step in, don't be surprised when you're left out. You want what he's got without seeking him? Come on, man. Come on, man. You want what he has without seeking him. Some things just ain't compatible. First Chronicles, chapter 16, verse 8. I'm reading out of the Amplified version, as I do quite often. It says, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, call on his name. Make his deeds known among the peoples. Sing to him, sing praises to him. Speak of all his wonders." He did something for you. Tell somebody. "Glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek the Lord rejoice." There's something key in there. Let who will rejoice? Let the heart of those who seek him rejoice.
Yes.
It's going to be some false rejoicing when you don't seek him. Let the heart of those who seek the Lord rejoice. Look at verse 11. Seek the Lord, why? And his strength. Seek his face, look continually, longing to be in his presence. Remember with gratitude his marvelous deeds which he has done, his miracles and the judgments from his mouth. O seed of Israel, his servant, children of Jacob, his chosen ones. Stroll down to verse 23. Look what it's still telling you. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Proclaim the good news of his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous works among all peoples. For great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. He is also to be feared with all filled reverence above all gods. Verse 26, for all the gods of the peoples are lifeless idols, but the Lord made the heavens. This is my favorite verse right here. Look at verse 27. Just in case y'all don't know what's in his presence when you seek him. Look at verse 27. It says, splendor and majesty are found in his presence. Let me say that again. Splendor and majesty are found in his presence. What else? Strength and joy are found in his place sanctuary. Father God, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you, Abba. I belong to you. I thank you for who you are. I thank you for what you would have me say to your people, Lord. I thank you for being awesome, oh Lord. Lord, I thank you for everyone here, oh Lord. I thank you for the hearers of the word and the doers of the word, oh Lord. And the ones who want to do it but haven't done. Lord, I'm thanking you for them in advance.
Yes, Lord. Thank you. Thank you.
Lord, I pray that every heart and every mind zone in on what you are about to say, not me. That they may comprehend and understand the words of the Almighty. And this I ask in Jesus' name. Sometimes you need to be reminded of how good God is. I know it seems simple. I know it seems basic. But truth be told, sometimes we all need to be reminded of how good God is. And sometimes we need divine inspiration. We need to be divinely guided. We need to be divinely instructed. We need to be divinely held and divinely helped.
That's right. Amen.
There's a divine guest living in your house. There's a divine guest living in your heart, but we really don't speak to him that much. God deserves a little more than that. Wouldn't you agree? He's dazzled you a whole lot of times. Is that true? He's exhilarated you a whole lot of times. He's gotten you off the hook. He's placed you on your job. He's put you in your home. Like the psalm says, oh, give thanks. Some of you say, well, I ain't got all that. You say, well, where's my blessing? I'm going through, you're thinking. I'm struggling. My life has taken a turn for the worse. Not my wife. I'm sorry, Dave. Oh, Lord. Lord. My life has taken a turn for the worse. And I can't find God. That's what we think sometimes when we're going through. Well, if you can't find God, who moved? You or God. Somebody moved.
Wow. That's right.
That's right.
Come on now.
If you seek his presence, you'll notice that he's still right there where you left him with his arms open wide. Verse 27. Splendor and majesty are found in his presence. That's enough right there to seek him. There's brilliance found in the presence of God.
Amen.
So we got to seek him and seek him often. There's glory in the presence of God. There's luster in the presence of God. There's grand grace and greatness in God's presence.
That's right.
Seek his majesty. He's rich. He's supreme. And he's awesome. Through his majesty, we all can become real kings and real queens in the earth. The text. What this text is about is, let me lead you up to what he's saying. The Israelites, they had an extraordinary spiritual heritage. And the remnants were fresh from captivity, and they needed to be inspired. And so he's saying, give thanks to the Lord. Sing to the Lord. Speak of him. Glory in his name. Notice what the chronicler is instructing them to do. Seek the Lord. Look at verse 11. Seek the Lord for You was chosen. You was chosen and elected too.
Yes, Lord.
The worship of God needed to be reestablished as the center of Israel's national life. And the worship of God needs to be established as the center of your life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Remember, it was God that got you out of the old and into the new. But sometimes we quickly forget.
That's right. That's right.
You better get back to loving your God.
My Lord, my Lord.
And we wonder what happened to our peace, and we wonder what happened to our stability. Guess what? You left it when you left God.
Yes, yes.
You left all that stuff.
My Lord.
Wow.
You barely seek God. If you refuse to step into his presence, why are you surprised that the things of God is left out of your life?
All right.
I'm not getting. Look back over your life sometimes. You got to remember that your newness was founded on your true worship for God. God has been faithful to you, has he not?
Amen.
That same God that proved himself in the past is the same God that you can depend on today and all of your tomorrows.
Yes, Lord. Thank you.
You too have been chosen.
My God.
Verse 8 says, oh, give thanks. But guess what? You need some kind of interaction with God to say thank you.
Uh-huh. That's right. Come on now. That's right.
God has, there's a calling on your life that ought to mean something to you. God has a purpose for your life that ought to mean something to you. He has ordered your steps. He has protected your steps for his will. Why don't you get to stepping?
Yes, God.
When are you going to step into his presence and receive your directions and receive your instructions?
My God.
My suggestion to you is before you make another move, before you take another step, maybe you need to go through the proper channels. Maybe you need to get into his presence first.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
Verse 27 says his splendor and his majesty and his strength and his joy is in there. It's in his presence.
Yes.
You got to step into him. Ain't nothing wrong with saying thank you, Lord, but why don't you say it to his face?
Yes. Yes.
Say it to his face sometimes.
My God.
You are God's privilege.
Jesus.
You're God's favorite. You're God's favorite. You're God's favorite.
Yep.
Everybody, we are God's favorite. That means you get grace.
My Lord.
Uh-huh.
And you get grace.
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, and you get grace too. Everybody who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved by grace, changed by grace, empowered by and through his grace.
Yes, sir.
How is it that we don't want to hang out with this great God? How is it that we don't want to spend time with this great God?
Come on, man.
When will we learn to dwell? When you seek God, you will find God.
Yes, Lord.
That's right.
And when you find God, you'll notice that you have found the real, in his presence, worship center.
Hallelujah.
Come on now.
Glory to God. Yes.
And he's saying, welcome.
My Lord.
Welcome into me.
Yes.
Can you welcome me into you?
My God. My God.
Can we abide together?
My God. My God.
Can we abide together? It's called worship. Your happiness, your security, and your freedom, all of that, your freedom from anxiety, it is dependent on your gratitude to God. And it is dependent on your perseverance in seeking his face daily.
Come on
you the Psalms 46:1 says, God is our refuge
Yes.
and our
Yes, it does.
strength,
Yes, it
a
does.
very present help
Yes, it does.
in troubles.
That's the word.
Hallelujah.
Ain't that what Psalms 46 says?
Yes, sir.
I need that confidence more and more that he walks by my side daily. I need that confidence.
Yes, yes, yes.
The environment is unstable. My nature, old nature, is unstable. My flesh is unstable.
Yes.
Yes.
I need for God to tell me and show me that he is my everlasting affirmation of stability in this earth.
Yes.
I need God to affirm that to me.
Yes, Lord.
If I can be honest, when I'm not seeking the presence of God, when I'm not seeking the presence of God, and when I'm left all by myself, I experience some spiritual barrenness.
Oh, yeah.
I do. I can't be left by my side. I can't be going without seeking God.
Yes.
There's a spiritual barrenness that I experience.
Yes.
I don't know about nobody else.
Yes. Yes.
That should not be the norm for the child of the living God who has promised to be near his people with help and comfort. That ain't supposed to be normal.
My Lord.
There's too many uncertainties. There's too many adversities in this life. I realize that the power and that the ability to face them, they're found in him. They're found in him. If I don't seek him, my ability and my power to go through this life, it diminishes.
My Lord.
If I don't step in, my power is left out.
That's right. That's right.
If I don't step into him,
Yes.
my power is left out of me.
Yes. Yes. Mm.
I don't know who I'm preaching to, but I'm preaching to myself.
Amen.
Come on, sir.
Sometimes we forget to step in. We forget to seek his presence. We say thank you, Lord, all day long, but we don't go to him.
My Lord Jesus. Jesus.
Lord, I just thank you.
Yes, Lord. My God. Mm.
He said, why you don't say it to my face?
All right. True that. Mm.
We know that he's available all the time. We know that we need not fear. If he did it before, you know he will do it again, but you gotta long to be in his presence.
Yes.
You gotta worship him with your whole heart. Verse 22 says, sing to the Lord, all the earth.
Yes. Mm.
Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Not sing to the Lord, Israelites. Not sing to the Lord, Jebusites. Not just sing to the Lord, Hittites.
Come on, man.
All right.
Now I'm going to stop there before I mess around and bite my tongue. All these ites up in the Bible have me jacked up. But he says, sing to the Lord, all the earth.
Yes.
David is calling for the whole earth to recognize the glory of the Lord.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You need to recognize his glory. I need to recognize his glory. We all need to recognize the glory of God.
Yes.
Yes.
It's telling us in every generation to recognize his glory with a kingdom praise to the Lord. Who in here know about some kingdom praise? I'm talking about kingdom praise.
Yes, yes,
That's how we need to recognize the Lord.
Thank you, God.
Psalms 96, verse 1 through 13 is pretty much saying the same thing. But Psalms the trees of the forest sing for joy.
Yes.
He's speaking of everything eventually exalting the Lord, even nature itself.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Everything will be kingdom praising. Everyone will be kingdom praising. We've got a whole lot of reasons to praise. We got a whole lot of reasons to worship before the millennium gets here.
Yes, Lord.
Praise Him for creation. Praise Him for redemption. Praise Him for salvation. Praise Him for not changing.
Come on now.
Lord, thank you.
Get to know God. His nature is supposed to be becoming your nature.
Yes, Lord. Glory.
There's something about being in the presence of God.
Yes,
One-on-one quiet time
my Lord.
with God.
Mm.
That's when you can realize, that's when God can really show you His heart.
Mm.
Come close to God, He's saying. That's when He can really show you His heart. Things that He really wants you to speak, that's when He can tell you. But you got to come close.
Yes.
Things that He's been trying to give you,
Mm.
you haven't come close enough. You don't know about it.
My Lord. My Lord. My Lord.
He's been trying to work out your finances, but you haven't come close.
My God.
He's been trying to strengthen you, but you haven't come close enough. He's been trying to give you peace, redo your health the way it's supposed to be.
Come on, man.
But when you refuse to seek Him, when you refuse to step in, why are you surprised when those things are left out of your life?
Come on, man.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
Jesus.
My God.
Jesus.
Mm.
Why are you surprised?
My Lord.
Go to the book of John, chapter 20, verse 19. Let me show you what else comes with His presence. We just read some things. Let me go to the New Testament. Some of y'all think, they was just getting that back in the Old Testament. Mm-mm. That's for us right now, too.
Yes,
That's
it
right.
is.
That's for us now. Go to John, chapter 20. I want you to realize what's taking place here. Because this thing, it always jacks me up when I read this. I want you to remember that an arrest had taken place. The trial had taken place. The cross, the soldiers, the spikes had taken place. The sword had taken place. His last breath had taken place. All that the disciples knew about Him didn't match up with His ending.
All right. All right.
It just didn't match up. Their leader had been murdered.
My Lord.
And now here they are meeting in secret at night. Scared to death. Scared that Jesus' fate could still be their own fate.
All right.
Here they are. They probably discussed and remember many things in those 3 days following His crucifixion. Secretly meeting, shushing each other when they hear something. These boys were scared. Their leader was murdered. And they probably went over a whole lot of stuff. When they first met Jesus, life and death, it seemed full of promises. And He called these men. These men were established. These men, they were hard workers. And Jesus said, "Follow me." Jesus said, "Leave everything that you know and come and follow what you don't know."
Wow. My Lord.
And the thing is, ain't neither one of them do a background check on him.
All right.
Did none of them research who he was? You mean to tell me, Peter, you couldn't even Google and see what? Nah, I'm just invitation. He said, follow me. It just seemed like it wasn't enough. He hadn't performed any miracles yet. He hadn't healed anyone yet. He hadn't fed anyone yet. He said, follow me. He didn't even give his name. And somehow that was enough.
My Lord.
Wow.
They dropped their nets. They shut down shop. And they traveled with a stranger all over creation just to be in his presence. And then they watched him and they heard his teachings and they witnessed his healings. And day after day, it was no doubt that he was who he said he was. Jesus, the Messiah, was real. You know, sometimes in life we get thrown for a loop. Sometimes tragedy strikes. Sometimes painful stuff happens that you don't see coming. Sometimes you get hit with the boom. Sometimes you get dumped on.
Yes.
They walked and they traveled. They listened to him. Watched him. Learned from him for 3 years. And then all of a sudden, on the cross, it was as if Jesus was just as helpless as the other 2 criminals. Couldn't even save himself. How is that? How is that possible, they might have been thinking? How could he speak with power? How could he speak with that much authority and then refuse to defend himself? Why no words, Jesus? Why is he allowing them boys to beat on him like that? Why is he allowing him to torture him?
Jesus.
I'm going to tell you, if I was Jesus, he didn't speak. But my reasons for not speaking probably would have been a little bit different. I mean, there ain't no need arguing and fussing back and forth with these jokers. They've been hooting and hollering all night at me. Get it over with so I can get back into my Father's presence.
Amen.
But Jesus was doing the will of the Father. And it wasn't making sense to them. Wasn't making sense. He walked on water. And now all of a sudden he's marching to his death without resistance. He turned water into wine, and now he's asking for a drink from those who are trying to kill him. Why? How could a man who raised the dead die?
Oh my God.
There may have been more confusion than grief that filled their hearts. 3 days of discussions, still no answers. They didn't even have a clue. It was like their life needed to start all over somehow. Their dreams was gone. Their promises was dead.
Yes.
Oh my God. But then, in an instant, Jesus was in their presence. In an instant. He came through right in the nick of time. Look, read this. John chapter 20, verse 19. It reads, so when it was evening on that same day, the first day of the week, though the disciples were meeting behind barred doors for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them and said, peace be with you. Let me say it again. The disciples were meeting behind barred doors.
Yes.
And somehow Jesus came and stood among them, and guess what he brought? Look what he said. But guess what he brought with his presence? He says, peace to you. And after he said this, he showed them his hands and he showed them his side. And when the disciples saw the Lord, they were filled with great joy. Then Jesus said to them again, peace to you. As the Father has sent was in there, doors was locked up. You know, there's an old saying, when one door closes, God opens another door. Well, I got another saying. Jesus can make his entrance and his presence, I don't care if the door is locked or closed.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
They had that thing barred up. This door was locked. It was bolted. It was barred, and in an instant, Jesus was in their presence. And at first, if you look over in Luke chapter 24, verse 37 through 41, they were shocked and they were scared. They actually thought they saw a ghost.
That's right.
They thought they saw a ghost. And Jesus asked them, why are y'all looking like that? I'm paraphrasing. But he said, why are y'all looking like that? Looking all troubled and stuff.
All right.
He said, it's me. Look in the text, it's in there. It's me. He said, look at my hands. Look at my feet.
Yes.
Touch me.
Yes.
Ghosts don't have flesh and bones.
That's right.
They were scared. They thought they saw a ghost. Now, you know what? We can say all we want. We can say what he'd been telling them all that time, that in 3 days he was going to rise. They should have known that it was him.
Yes.
We can talk all that we want. We say, oh, if I could just see my Uncle Leroy one more time. Oh, if Aunt Patty could just tell me one more joke. If I could just see my grandma one more time, I miss my grandma. Yeah. You know you got the only key to your house. Now when you get home, you let your grandmama be in there frying up some pork chops. I promise you, you're going to forget all about it. You just came from church. Somebody getting left. You might not even get in the car. You might just take me off running. Need a little baby in the car and everything. After talking all that, wish I could see you one more time. You better be in there frying up some stuff in that kitchen when you get home today. Not so godly words is going to come out as you jet. You don't care who get left behind. I'm Elsky. Jesus. Jesus said, I ain't no ghost. He said, touch me and see. And then you know what he did after that? Because they, even though they was joyful and they was amazed, and you can look, like I said, in Luke 24, verse 37 through 41, if you want. You know what he did? Even though they was joyful, they still really wasn't believing. Look at it. So guess what he does? He hits them off with a question. Verse 41, he said, y'all got anything to eat? Do you have anything to eat? And they gave him some fish, and he ate it right in front of him. Read the text. It's me. And then he breathed on them and he said, receive the Spirit.
Yes.
Look at what came with his presence. He gave them a partial, limited gift of knowledge and understanding and empowerment until Pentecost. It was sort of like in creation when the breath of God, he breathed it into Adam, the first man.
Yes.
But I want you to notice what else came along with his presence. Look at his first words. Back to John chapter 20, 19. Look at the first word Jesus said. Peace to you.
Amen.
It came with his presence. Peace to you. Verse 21, he says it again. Peace to you. Because old Doubting Thomas, he wasn't with them. He wasn't with them in that room when Jesus somehow appeared in their midst. When Jesus somehow was in their presence. Old Doubting Thomas, he was nowhere to be found. But John chapter 20, verse 24, look, it reads, but Thomas, one of the 12 disciples, was not with them when Jesus came. And so the other disciples kept telling him, we have seen the Lord. But he said to them, unless I see in his hands and the marks of his nails, and put my finger into the nail prints, and put my hand into his side, I will never believe. Amen. 8 days later, his disciples again were inside the house, and this time Thomas was with them. And Jesus somehow came through the doors that had been barred, and he stood among them, and he said it again, peace to you. He brought that with him. It comes with his presence. And then he says to Thomas, reach here with your finger and see my hands. Put out your hand and place it in my side. Do not be unbelieving, but stop doubting Tom, and believe. Look what Thomas says. Thomas answered him and he said, my Lord and my God.
Yes.
He didn't just say my Lord. He said, my Lord and my God. This is Doubting Thomas that said this. He was a skeptical man. But his faith climaxed at this point. He said, my Lord, my God. What he was saying was, Jesus, you are God.
That's right.
Thomas was loyal, but he was pessimistic. And Jesus met Thomas right at his point of weakness. That's where he met him at. He says, put your finger in my side. Look at the holes in my hands.
Thank you, Lord.
There wouldn't be no more doubting for Thomas after this day. He said, my Lord, my God. This scripture is said to be the foundation of Christian faith. Thomas, he was awestruck and wonder. And not only did he believe that Christ was risen, but now through the presence of him, he saw the resurrection and improved his deity. And so the disciples' confusion, it was replaced with certainty of his presence. And guess what? If you're in a confused state, you too, when you seek him, when you seek his presence, it will replace your confusion.
My Lord, yes.
Lives that are filled with anxiety, his presence brings peace.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
He could speak with such power, and he refused to defend himself when he showed up on the spot. There's lives that are perplexed with a whole lot of events. His presence, it brings order.
Yes.
Lives that are filled with dread and lives that are filled with heartache. His presence, it brings a certain kind of hope.
Yes, it does.
Being in his presence is way more than we can hope for. It's in his presence, that's when we can dive a little deeper. Up in that room, the presence of Jesus was so profound that it transformed the disciples from being cowardly men hiding in fear to being a bold witness for Jesus Christ. And I am telling you that being in his presence is significant to your life on earth. First Chronicles, where we began, 16:11. It's telling you to seek his face continually. You are chosen too. You are elected. Splendor and majesty, verse 27, it says, are found in his presence. Strength and joy are found in the place of his sanctuary. Peace, it is linked to his presence. And if we know this, how do we not seek it? I can't speak for nobody else. I can't speak for nobody else, but I could use a few gracious gulps of divine air.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
That's what I could use. God wants to show you some of the perfection of life in heaven on earth.
Yes, yes.
Amen.
But you just got to meet with him a little more often.
That's right. That's right.
Jesus said, abide in me, and I will abide in you.
That's right.
God loves his human beings so much. His undeserving grace and mercy, it follows you every single day. Even if he allows you to be chastised, even if he allows your own sins to punish you, he still wants you to seek him.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
He still wants you to seek him. I don't care what you've done. He's your father. And just like your father, he may tell you right after dinner, go on to bed. But his mercy and grace, he'll delay dinner for 3 hours just to give you time to get into his presence. Just to give you time to seek his face. He delays things.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, God.
If you still refuse to step in, you cannot get mad when you're left out. Give God praise. We're going to pick this up next week. This is part 1 of 3. Give God praise.